Live every day as if it were the last, because before you know it, time goes past and life's just not that long. Tell all you love that you love them so, because even if you do, they might not know, and one day we'll all be gone. Taste the wind, don't let it blow on by. Sing songs of love, let the music get you high. And when it's said
I want my mind and my heart always open to make wise changes in how I live. I do not want to get stuck in ruts. I do not want to keep doing something just because I've always done it that way for many years. I've made many huge changes in my 76 years. I want to stay ready to make more changes until the day I die, if I learn wiser new ways and wiser old ways to live. Many people have taught me, many people have loved me, many people have inspired me, and I'm deeply indebted to every one of them. I collect wisdom every day from books and conversations and living from nature. I collect wisdom not just to think about it or talk about it, but to live it. What good is wisdom unless we live it, or at least try to live it? And I collect wisdom to share it with anyone interested. Believers, and I was one many years ago, believers say God won't give them more than they can handle. Tell that to a Christian woman in Iraq who sees her whole family murdered by U.S. soldiers in a helicopter during the U.S. war against Iraq, severely depressed. She kills herself. In December 2000, a horrible accident. A woman 8 months pregnant was thrown through the windshield of a truck onto the pavement. The jackknifing truck sliced her body in half. The live baby came out of his mother, still attached to the umbilical cord. The baby's father, who was driving the truck, said the baby's survival was a miracle. A miracle that the mother died an awful death by being cut in half. A miracle that the baby will grow up without his mother, and when old enough, be saddened when told the horrible way his mother died. A miracle that the baby was slammed to the concrete. An earthquake in a small town in El Salvador destroyed the church building, killed hundreds under a landslide of dirt and rubble. Survivors quickly said, God loves us. He left some of us alive to rebuild the church. Did God let hundreds die in agony, but kept alive some survivors to rebuild the church building? Is a building more important to God than many human lives? Was it God's miracle that the earthquake did not kill everyone? people believe weird stupidity to keep from facing the truth. There is no God to answer our desperate, sincere prayers. Heaven is the hope of loved ones living, but we have no proof heaven is real. I do not want to bullshit myself that heaven is real when I have no proof. No matter how much I want, no matter how much I want to be with all my many loved ones in a better world beyond death, I have no proof. For any of you who knew me many years ago, when I sincerely, very sincerely, believed in God and heaven, when I was a preacher in the 1960s in Virginia and Illinois, I now apologize to you for spreading false advertising for God. Why are many men ashamed to be seen in public crying for someone they loved who died? Why are many men ashamed to wear bright colors? Some male animals are more colorful naturally than the females of that kind of animal. Native American men dress very colorfully in their traditional dances. Why are many men proud to beat and bruise and bloody a man as men and women fans cheer him on? Why are many men ashamed of feeling attracted sexually to their longtime buddy? Why would a man threaten to kill a longtime friend who tells other people he wants sex with a man? Why would many men not have the balls to come out as gay or bisexual, even in places where they would not be arrested, they would not be beaten up for being gay or bisexual? Why are many men ashamed to admit they love beautiful flowers as much as any woman does? Why are many men ashamed to be seen crying at a heart-touching movie? Why are many men in love with their guns? Why would any man want to own any gun? Why do many men prefer to show anger rather than tenderness? Why do many men find it so hard to apologize and to admit they were wrong? I am glad to cry because I love someone deeply. Men can become, now listen, men can become as free to shed tears of love and sadness as they are to orgasm and come in hot sex with women or with men. If all the many millions of desperately poor people on earth were suddenly able to consume, to pollute, to travel, and to eat meat and dairy as most middle income or even lower middle income people in the United States, the Earth's environment, the climate emergency would be far worse than it is now. The American dream is a nightmare disaster for human life on Earth. The American dream is a nightmare disaster for animal life on Earth. Billions of birds have already disappeared. The American dream is a nightmare disaster for plant life on Earth. I have no right to much more than I need, while many millions worldwide suffer on far less than they need. I enjoy living simply. I enjoy living on less than the U.S. poverty level for me as a single person. I enjoy it. It's not a burden. It's not a cross. It's not an inconvenience. I enjoy it. My home is one sunny room, 9.5 by 12 feet, with 6 windows in the house of a friend. I've lived there over 12 years. My favorite place I've ever lived in my 76 years. I have a garden for food and flowers. I enjoy nutritious food, good health, much walking, other exercise, and many friends. I enjoy going to many events, mostly free. Enough. Bastante. Why have piles of crap nobody needs and live in a luxurious mansion and drive a car costing tens of thousands of dollars? I wouldn't keep those things if you gave them to me free. I would be ashamed as hell in a world where so many millions suffering, cold in the winter, sickness, lying on the concrete, no home. Sadly, most people in the United States are constantly bombarded from television, radio, newspaper, internet, billboards, to buy stuff nobody needs. Most people in this country sadly become severely addicted to this crap. It's much like growing up in a family where almost everyone is alcoholic. And in such a family, living healthy, living sober, with no booze, seems weird. I enjoy living simply. Less spoiled, less bills, less stress, more freedom. I refuse to be a slave to ads and commercials and corporations for crap I do not need and I do not want. Why hog much more than my fair share in our world family of over 7 billion sisters and brothers, and if human life survives, billions more to come? Freedom is not wanting much stuff I do not need. My time is more precious than millions of dollars. My friendships are more precious than mansions full of expensive crap. Booze, junk food, cocaine, meth are all awful addictions. Sugar, heroin, guns, cigarettes, sodas, are all awful addictions, but no addiction on earth is more harmful than craving much more money, much more stuff than we need. About half of men who have diabetes cannot get a good hard on. And the other half of men who have diabetes will eventually not be able to get a good hard on. If that were the only result of diabetes, why would any man who enjoys good sex with women or with men or by himself alone risk getting diabetes? Diabetes also causes paralyzing strokes, where the person can't walk right or can't speak right, amputated toes, amputated feet, amputated legs. Diabetes causes blindness, kidney disease. My mother died of kidney disease, and it's a hell of a way to go. Kidney disease can be as bad as cancer. Kidney disease with the hell of dialysis 3 times a week, 4 hours a time. And some other causes of men not getting good hard-ons: depression, other kinds of illness, antidepressants. Think, people put on antidepressant drugs, men put on antidepressant, and for many of them, no good hard-on. That in itself is depressing to men who treasure sex. Blood pressure medicine can cause men not to be able to get good hard-ons. Chemotherapy drugs, diuretics, which are pills to make you piss, sedatives, stomach acid inhibitors, ulcer medications, all of those pharmacy drugs can spell no good hard-on. Big fat bellies can cause lowered testosterone and no good hard-ons. Cooked and fried high-fat foods, especially meat. And of course, damn booze and cigarettes. All of these can keep men from having good hard-ons. And never take testosterone replacement therapy. I recently learned, fortunately I never took it, but a friend of mine did for a while. And I recently learned that testosterone replacement therapy can cause liver damage, sleep problems, skin problems, blood clots, acne, man boobs, in other words, enlarged breasts on men. Testosterone replacement therapy can cause smaller testicles, non-cancerous growth of the prostate gland that makes it harder to piss a good stream of piss. Instead of testosterone replacement therapy, get lean. And I know if you have many pounds of fat, you can't do it overnight, but you can certainly start the journey. Get rid of the big belly. Eat only healthy foods. I know of a man who lost 130 pounds by eating only raw plant foods. And slowly get off all prescription drugs unless absolutely necessary. Take the herbs, puncture vine, garlic, green tea, hot red chili pepper, turmeric, black pepper, fenugreek seed, ashwagandha root, hawthorn berry, ginkgo leaf, bee pollen. That's not an herb, but it's a wonderful natural product of the bees. All of those can help good hard-ons. Plus pumpkin seeds, and I eat them every day, raw pumpkin seeds, not roasted, not salted. Avocado, pomegranate, flaxseed, all of these can help men get good hard-ons and stop all unhealthy sugar and other shit. All McDonald's, all processed crap. We need foods from Mother Earth, not from factories, not from fast food joints. Just as important as taking the healthy herbs and healthy seeds and nuts is cutting out all the unhealthy shit. I take many of these herbs every day, and the pumpkin seeds and the flaxseed in my homemade blended smoothies. If you suffer depression, which millions of people do, and sometimes hide it under humor and a smile, but are dying inside, many comedians who get people to laugh up a storm are struggling with depression. These are some things that can help depression. Get enough sleep every night. 7, 8, or 9 hours, no exceptions. Eat only healthy food, no crap, no sugar shit, no factory fake food, no McDonald's, nothing with artificial sweeteners, no sodas. Drink no booze. Booze depresses. Booze is a depressant. And think of all the people who drink booze and are depressed, and then they take a pharmacy drug antidepressant. I mean, it's insane. But the pharmaceutical companies love it because they make hundreds of millions of dollars, even billions, on all the drugs, of course. Spend time in the sunshine most days. Sunshine can lift our mood. And if you're physically able, take long walks most days outside in nature. Nature is healing. We need nature. Do other exercises. Fall in love with making your body as healthy as possible. Forgive yourself. Forgive others. Apologize to people you have hurt. Reach out to others to listen deeply to their struggles and to care. Be available. Make some close friendships, not just talking about the weather or the TV programs or what's for lunch. No. Heart-to-heart, deep conversations. I weigh less now than when I was in high school 58 years ago. Then I weighed 140 to 145 pounds. Now I weigh 126 to 130 pounds. We do not We do not have to put on pounds and get fat as we grow older. That's bullshit. I hate to think how fat, how out of shape I might have become if I had not stopped the unhealthy sweets I ate as a kid and in my 20s. In fact, if I had kept eating like that, there's a good chance that I would have died years ago. I eat only healthy, raw plant foods plus some raw honey and bee pollen. I stopped cooked food 23 years ago. If you want to lose fat, switch to only raw plant foods, greens, fresh fruit, raw nuts, raw seeds, other kinds of vegetables, medicinal herbs, a wonderful array of hundreds of possibilities of delicious, nutritious foods from Mother Earth. And you will lose fat. As some of you may remember, many years ago when the Obamas were in the White House, Michelle, to her credit, and I compliment her, I guess she had a garden there on the White House property, and she stressed to people a lot about eating healthy food. But sadly, the processed food giants came down on her hard and pressured her to shut up about eating healthy foods, especially from your own gardens. And so, sadly, she said much less and emphasized exercise. Well, exercise, we need it, definitely. It's important. But exercise with eating primarily junk food ain't the answer. It never has been, never will be. Why do old men send young men to kill and to die in war? Some reasons. Young men are stronger and they hold up better if they're in combat than old men. Old men are often jealous of young men's attractive bodies and strength. Why do old men send young men to kill and die in war? Many young men think they're Rambos, indestructible. But older men realize more how easily all of us can be wounded, paralyzed, killed. Many young men have a lot of rage inside toward cold fathers or mean fathers. Many young men have a lot of rage inside toward mean cops, brutal cops who have abused their friends, beating them up, killing them. Many young men have a lot of rage inside toward mean school principals. And this rage can be directed into killing the enemy, so-called enemy. And instead of these young men with all that rage being locked up for murder, the young men, soldiers, may get medals and receive praise from family and friends for killing people in other nations, people that might have been their close buddies if they had grown up on the same street. And sadly, many young men want to prove to their buddies what a man they are by being tough, mean, killers, insane. But think of all the movies and the programs and the violent video games that pump this poison of violence into young people, especially young men. A woman in Florida was diagnosed with rheumatoid arthritis at age 28. Terrible pain, swelling in her joints of her hands. This woman suffered from migraine headaches since she was 8 years old. She would often take a bottle of Excedrin with her everywhere she went. She never left her house without the bottle of Excedrin. She became very fat over the years. She got up to almost 200 pounds. And finally, she met someone who told her about natural healing by drinking her piss. She started to drink her piss. And 4.5 months later, now notice, it wasn't overnight, it wasn't in a week, it wasn't in a month. 4.5 months later, she had lost 68 pounds. She weighed 130 pounds. Her arthritis was gone. Her headaches were gone. She felt like a 20-year-old. A wonderful testimony from a woman in Florida. And I have drunk my piss for health every day since November 10th, 1999. Now I drink 2 cups every day in the early mornings as I exercise at home free. I don't have to pay a penny to a gym. To your health, the water of life, the golden fountain of healing, piss. And the healthier you eat, the better the piss tastes and the better it will do your body good. From 1898 to 1931, Smedley Darlington Butler was a member of the U.S. Marine Corps, 33 years. And by the time he retired, he had achieved what was then the Marine Corps' highest rank, Major General. And by the time he died in 1940, at 58, he had more decorations, including 2 medals of honor, than any other Marine. And during his years in the Marine Corps, he was sent to the Philippines at the time of the uprising of Filipino people against the U.S. occupation of their land. He was sent to China. He was sent to France during World War I, to Mexico, to Central America, to Haiti. Butler shocked a good many people in 1935, 4 years after he was out of the Marines, and this is what he wrote in the magazine called Common Sense. Butler said, "I spent 33 years and 4 months in active military service, and during that period I spent most of my time as a high-class muscle man for big business for Wall Street and the bankers. In short, I was a racketeer. I was a gangster for capitalism. I helped make Mexico, and especially Tampico, safe for American oil interests. In other words, so the U.S. could steal their oil and make the big companies here rich. In 1914, I helped make Haiti and Cuba a decent place for the national city bank boys to collect revenues in, robbing the people there of money. I helped in the raping of half a dozen Central American republics for the benefit of Wall Street. I helped purify Nicaragua for the International Banking House of Brown Brothers in 1902 to 1912. I brought light to the Dominican Republic for the American sugar interests in 1916. I helped make Honduras right for the American fruit companies in 1903. In China in 1927, I helped see to it that Standard Oil went on its way unmolested. Looking back on it, Smedley Butler, who spent 33 years and 4 months in the U.S. military gang, the Marines, he says, I might have given Al Capone a few hints. The best he could do was operate his racket in 3 districts. Butler says, I operated on 3 continents. And that same year that he wrote this powerful statement against war and against what the U.S. has done all over the world for decades, in that same year, 1935, Butler published a short book with the now famous title, War is a Racket, for which he is best known today. And Butler opened the book with these words, war is a racket. It always has been. He said it is possibly the oldest, easily the most profitable, surely the most vicious. It is the only one international in scope. It is the only one in which the profits are reckoned in dollars and the losses in lives. He said, for a great many years as a soldier, I had a suspicion that war was a racket. Not until I retired to civil life did I fully realize it. And he closed his book with, to hell with war. To hell with war. Our very close relatives, the Bonobos apes, share over 98% of the genes that we human beings have. Over 98% of our genes in common with the Bonobos apes. They live, make love, not war. The Bonobos apes settle conflicts with lots of sex, giving each other pleasure. No bonobo has ever been seen killing another bonobo in the wild, and no bonobo has ever been seen killing another bonobo in a zoo. Imagine if that could be said of us human beings. Sadly, many humans are addicted to guns, bombs, war, violent entertainment. Crazy. How did we get this way? Often among the bonobos, the older females are in charge in their communities. Rape and sexual harassment are rare. Males and females are bisexual. Lots of sex between males and females, between males and males, between females and females, between old and young. Bonobos are the apes that touch each other's bodies the most. Bonobos are the apes that touch each other's bodies the most. And when we humans do not get touched by other humans in affection, in friendship, or in romance, we suffer. We often make other people suffer. Bonobos cooperate and share with each other. The bonobos teach us that passion and compassion are the wise way to live. Not grabbing, not hogging much more than we need. Not grabbing, not hogging more than our fair share. Instead, making love, not greed, not war. Fresh, raw greens build strong muscles, strong bodies. The gorillas, the rhinoceroses, the hippopotamuses, the elephants, these very strong animals eat mostly greens. If you want to kick addictions to cigarettes or cocaine or coffee, eat lots of fresh, raw greens every day. And for me, because I have only one tooth left in my mouth largely because of the sugar shit that I was severely addicted to as a kid and in my 20s, I blend the greens, mostly, with fruit. Fresh alfalfa now from my garden, and I have a lot of it, and I love it. It's one of the most nutritious greens you can eat. I blend it with apples and some water, and it's delicious, nutritious to the max. Collards, cabbage, parsley, wild spinach. In Spanish, wild spinach is calitas. Dandelions, celery. Lots of greens plus extra hot red chili pepper give a healthy, natural high. In South Africa, after many years of bloody, cruel white supremacy against black people, many meetings took place across the nation of South Africa for speaking truth about what the white people, especially the cops, the white cops, had done to blacks for many, many years. The tortures, the murders of black people. And these sessions all across South Africa for truth and reconciliation, to bring whites and blacks together as equals and as neighbors, to stop the white evils toward blacks. And if white police confessed honestly the evils they had committed against blacks, they could avoid prosecution, they could avoid punishment in prison. Here is one story of an elderly black South African woman who had suffered terrible losses at the hands of a brutal white murderer under the racist white supremacy. And this woman stood in an emotionally charged courtroom listening to a group of white police officers confess the atrocities they had perpetrated in the name of apartheid, severe, cruel, murderous discrimination against black people. Officer Van de Broek confessed his personal responsibility in the death of this woman's son, and along with others, he shot her 18-year-old son at point-blank range. And the group of these white cops partied while they burned this young man's body, turning it over and over on the fire until it was completely reduced to ashes. And 8 years later, Van de Broek and others arrived to collect her husband. A few years later, shortly after midnight, Van de Broek again appeared and took the woman to a place beside the river. And on a wood pile, her husband lay bound. And they forced this woman, this black woman, to watch as they poured gasoline over her husband's body and ignited the flames that consumed his body. And the last words this black woman heard her husband say were, "Forgive them." Now Van de Broek stood before her, awaiting judgment. Vengeance seemed inevitable. The Truth and Reconciliation Commission officers asked this woman, whose 18-year-old son and whose husband had been brutally murdered by this white cop. They asked her what she wanted. She said, "I want 3 things. I want Mr. Van de Broek to take me to the place where they burned my husband's body. And I would like to gather up the dust and give him a decent burial. And second, Mr. Van de Broek took all my family away from me. And I still have a lot of love to give. And twice a month, I would like for him to come to the ghetto and spend a day with me so I can be a mother to him." And third, I would like Mr. Vanderbroek to know that he's forgiven by God and that I forgive him. And I would like someone to come and lead me by the hand to where Mr. Vanderbroek is so that I can embrace him, I can hug him, and he can know my forgiveness is real. And as they led this elderly black woman across the silent courtroom, the white cop, Vanderbroek, fainted. He was overwhelmed. In the courtroom, someone began singing Amazing Grace, and gradually others joined in until finally everyone was singing Amazing Grace. The man who wrote those words, Amazing Grace, was John Newton. And he had been a brutal white slave trader, guilty of the kidnapping, the torture, the murder of many black people as he brought them from Africa to the United States to be enslaved by whites. But John Newton changed. And he later worked to abolish the slavery of black people. And he wrote Amazing Grace. How sweet the sound that saved a wretch like me. I once was lost, but now am found, was blind, but now I see. I, Don Schrader, I no longer believe in God, but I know with much help from others, we can wake up and we can change from our evil ways, and we can forgive our enemies. Cooking destroys most of the nutrients in raw plant foods, in greens, vegetables, seeds, nuts, lentils, fruit. So that means that cooking destroys most of the labor, most of the resources, most of the energy which went into growing that food, marketing that food, preparing that food. Cooking food is one of the biggest wastes of resources on earth. Cooking destroys up to 85% of the nutrients. Not all, but most. Cooking food is not wise if you give a damn about your health and the health of Mother Earth. Most food in the world is cooked by fire from wood. So cooking is one big cause of forests being cut down, and we need the trees for oxygen and to soak up the carbon dioxide, causing one of the major causes of our climate crisis. Now, I know that many cooked foods like pinto beans and sweet potatoes taste good. I ate cooked pinto beans, cooked sweet potatoes for years. They're delicious. And compared to many other cooked foods, they are nutritious. I was addicted to cooked food, but with much help, I changed. I stopped cooking my food December 12th, 1998, over 23 years ago. One reason human cancer cells grow and multiply on cooked food is that cooking destroys the oxygen in raw plant foods. If you put human cancer cells on raw plant foods, they die. But if you put human cancer cells on cooked food, they thrive and multiply. Cancer grows where there's little or no oxygen. And one reason that lots of vigorous exercise helps prevent cancer is vigorous exercise brings more oxygen to our body's cells. Many people in government, many people working in newspapers, radio, TV, refuse to speak the truth about U.S. government atrocities. They refuse to speak about the massive crimes of corporations and about the insanities of all religions because they're scared of losing their jobs, if they're politicians not getting reelected. They're scared of having to live on much less money. They fear being labeled weird and un-American, hell-bound atheists. They fear being rejected by their relatives, their neighbors, their co-workers, even longtime friends. And these fears paralyze many people here from speaking the truth, the unpopular truth, just as Russia's severe laws now locking up any Russian with conscience who publicly damns Putin's war against Ukraine. Here you don't have to tell the politicians and the news people you're going to get locked up for years in jail. No, just tell them people you know and love aren't going to like it, and you may lose your job, and you'll have to live on less money. And sadly, for most people, that zips their lips. We pay a price if we confront our society's evils, our society's idols, our society's insanities. And with some freedom of speech left here, the test of our conscience and our commitment is not our secret ideals, but what we risk, our money, our job, our reputation, our friends, our status, to live those ideals publicly every day. To our health, the water of life, piss. Good night.
Tell all you love that you love them so, because even if you do, they might not know, and one day we'll all be gone. Taste the wind, don't let it blow on by. Sing songs of love, let the music get you high, and when it's said and done, you'll know the sun will shine on. And when it's said and done, you'll know the sun will shine